We have a rather eventful and informative agenda for you today, so we appreciate you taking time. We'll talk about BruinBuy Plus, which is our P2P system, and then we'll give you an update on the Oracle implementation and chart of accounts mapping, talk a little bit about research and the actual subledger that's going to be supporting it, and leave some time at the end for campus engagement, and then also give you opportunities to ask questions. So let's go ahead and move right into it. Really lucky today to have our executive sponsors are attending today, Michael, Roger, Lucy, and Allison. So we thank them very much for coming here, and we appreciate all of the support that you have given to the program today. Our program owners also are here today with us and are really excited about having you all here. If you ever have any questions about the program at any point in time, please feel free to reach out to them and to the program owners. You know, we are as open and communicative as we can be, and would love to hear your feedback. Let's go ahead and jump in on our first topic. I want to talk just a little bit about it, and a quick reminder of what all is included in Ascend 2.0. We've got specifically 3 major projects that are underway simultaneously. BruinBuy Plus, which we'll be rolling out in 2 releases. The first one will be coming in the 3rd quarter. That'll pave the way for Bruin Finance, and for the second release of BruinBuy Plus, in essence, we'll be rolling out the tool with our current chart of accounts, and OT and Janelle are going to talk a little bit more about that later on. Chart of accounts, many of you in the units and schools have been actively involved in our mapping of our new financial language, which is the Common Chart of Accounts, from our current language FAU. So we are going through a rather detailed exercise right now of mapping our old FAU values to our new FAU values. Selena's going to talk a little bit more about that later on, but we really appreciate all the effort. We want to show you how that actually is going to affect everyone, and how it's going to make our reporting much more robust. And then also in December of 2024, we'll be launching Bruin Finance, which is based on that new chart of accounts language I just spoke about. And also will be based around the Oracle Cloud Financial products and the associated tool sets that go with it. Next slide, please. So where are we? We are right now, we've actually hit a major milestone. We are now starting to build out and configure all of the requirements and user stories that we've gathered over the past 6 months. So we are starting to set that up in Oracle. We are also starting to build our systems integrations to all of the legacy systems that we still have here that support the other business processes. And we are far along on mapping our chart of accounts values. You know, we are on the P2P and BruinBuy Plus side, we are in the middle of testing. We've started our system testing, and we've identified a number of individuals that will be participating in user acceptance testing, and we'll be kicking that off here within the next 4 to 6 weeks. So we're really excited about that. So we wanted to spend a little time to talk to you today about all of what's going on in these releases and in these activities, and we're really excited to talk to you today about that. Next slide, please. So OT, if you wouldn't mind, and Janelle, take us through BruinBuy Plus.
Yeah, hey Mark, thanks a lot. Before we get going into some of the details, we're going to show you a quick video that the team has put together, voiced over by none other than our very own Janelle Vinci. Let's go to the videotape.
Hello, and welcome to the BruinBuy Plus e-procurement overview. Today, we will be providing an overview of the e-procurement module within BruinBuy Plus and showing you how easy it is to purchase from a hosted or a punch-out catalog. Let's get started. As you can see, I am already logged into the BruinBuy Plus application. This is the BruinBuy Plus homepage. This is where you will see all of your various shopping widgets that will allow you to make requests and purchases, as well as track those purchases and see any important updates from UCLA as provided. We will discuss this in more detail in a future webinar. The shopping widget allows you to search for items you wish to purchase. This search can be done by entering in various keywords for items, vendors, and even forms. The results you see here are your hosted catalog items. These are items that are provided by the vendor, allowing you to purchase right within the BruinBuy Plus application. It's as easy as clicking on the Add to Cart button. Now, if you'd like to narrow down your keyword search, let's say by product, then here in the by product flag section, you will find categories in which results in your keyword search can be narrowed down. In particular, you can filter for green products by using the green flag. Now, all of the paper that you see is also flagged as green. Now that you have narrowed your search a bit, you can also use the compare feature to compare prices for a specific product or service. In order to compare pricing on items, click the Add Item to Compare icon for each item that you would like to see in your comparison. You can compare up to 4 items at once. You can also select items by vendor, by category, and other options as you see fit. Now, let's say that you wanted to include additional parameters to help narrow your search. Click on the Advanced tab. You'll see that you can find results that match keywords or system values within any fields you enter in below. You can even enter words that you want excluded from the search. And that Advanced Search tab is also available on the home page. And finally, you can favorite items that you purchase regularly by clicking the heart next to any item and saving them into a new or created folder. Now let's navigate back to the home page. The Showcases widget houses alternative methods that you can purchase items, such as via a punch-out supplier or by form requests. The punch-out suppliers section contains UCLA's preferred suppliers with punch-out catalogs, allows you to see which punch-out suppliers have been listed on your homepage for selection. You can click on a supplier and that will navigate you to an external site where you can purchase the supplier's items. The form request sections are UCLA custom-built templates that help guide your purchasing needs. For example, if you're looking to buy an item that you cannot find in your punch-out supplier's catalog or in your product search, you would want to use the purchase request form. The My Draft Cart widget shows you all the carts you have not submitted or are assigned to you. Click on the filter icon to narrow down your results. Click on the cart number to continue working on a cart. In the My Purchase Orders widget, you can see all of your purchase orders, including their existing statuses. You can access your purchase orders by clicking on them. The Action Items widget allows you to see any pending to-dos that you need to complete. For example, if you've submitted a requisition and it has been returned to you by an approver, you can find your returned requisitions link within this widget. The UCLA Message widget contains information for you from your procurement team. You can also expect to find supplier updates, additions, or new information provided by UCLA in the future. And finally, the Quick Links widget contains URLs to important applications outside of BruinBuy Plus. This concludes the overview of BruinBuy Plus's new e-procurement application. We look forward to completing the checkout process with you in a future demonstration. Thank you for watching, and please visit ascend.ucla.edu for more videos.
All right. So that was a quick sneak peek into BruinBuy Plus. And as you can see, what we showed you is what's been built along with the integrations. That's been completed. Right now, we are in the testing phase. So we're doing internal testing at the moment, but very soon, in a few weeks, we're going to start user acceptance testing. And that will include many of you on this webinar. So looking forward to seeing you get in and play with the tool. Give us your feedback so we can make sure it's fine-tuned for our final launch. Next slide. So PaymentWorks vendor onboarding. PaymentWorks is our front page for all vendors into the UCLA procurement system. We have to gather all of our vendor information there, their contact information, their banking information, and their payment information. If your vendor is not registered in PaymentWorks by the end of June, by June 30th, there's a great possibility that they will not be able to be transferred into BruinBuy Plus. If they're not in BruinBuy Plus, we will probably not be able to issue purchase orders or pay any invoices. So if you look on this current activity section, what we would like you to do is click on that here button, the check here button that you'll get in this this presentation when you receive it, and check to see if any vendors that you currently work with are already registered. If not, please contact us and provide that contact information so we can reach out to those vendors and get them onboarded. Next slide. So how we're onboarding vendors, we're looking at critical vendors. Those are we're calling tier 1 and tier 2. Those are vendors that we've identified as being critical to the operation of the university, as well as with annual spend over $250,000 a year. And so we're looking at those as our critical vendors. We're trying to get all of our critical vendors into the system now. However, we have also identified other vendors as well, tiers 3 through 7. We're also looking to get those in, and they are tiered appropriately as you see here on the slide. Next slide. So right now we have about 61% of our tier 1 critical vendors registered. So we still have a little ways to go. And overall, we have 41% of the vendors identified as vendors for the university registered. So again, there we really have some significant ground to cover. So all the assistance you can provide would be great. We do have a team that's dedicated to onboarding these vendors. They're providing a white glove service. They will reach out, they speak to the vendors, they walk them through the onboarding to ensure we get them in, get all the right data, and they're ready to be suppliers for us. Next, it's Selena with Chart of Accounts.
Great, thank you, OT. So welcome everybody, good afternoon. Today I want to spend just about 10 minutes to share with you where we are with our Chart of Accounts efforts. We know some of you may not necessarily work with the Chart of Accounts every day in this town hall, so I'm going to take just a few seconds to review this on this slide. So the Chart of Accounts, as you can see here, it's a chart string. It's composed of the segments that you see here. We use it to segregate and categorize financial transactions so that we have meaningful reporting. And transitioning from today's FAU to tomorrow's COA, it's going to help us to have one consistent common language for our transactions. It's going to help us have more organized data and have more meaningful and flexible reporting. So this diagram, and I think many of you have seen this before, it shows just how complex the mapping of the FAU to the COA is. So you can see at the top of the slide is our current state FAU, and there are some arrows that indicate mapping to our future state COA. So for some of these segments of the COA, the central project team, we've defined the values and the mapping. So examples are account and fund and transaction class. And then other values are developed by campus departments and mapped by their assigned mapping experts. And I'm guessing as you look at this, for some of you who do work with FAUs quite often and have your FAUs memorized, you might be wondering, how in the world am I going to remember this, and how am I going to remember the new COA? And so, one thing I do want to remind you of course, training is and will continue to be provided. So you can see at the bottom of this slide, there's a link to a COA tutorial on our Ascend 2.0 YouTube channel. And then also remember that our new system is going to be much more robust than our current system. And it's going to have some smart functions. So it will have drop-down boxes to aid you in identifying COA values. It's going to have favorites functions for you to save your favorites that's unique to your organization. We'll also keep this mapping tool that we're using today. We'll keep that available as a read-only view to help you, go back and recall the mapping and the translation to the COA. And then, of course, naturally, the hope is that with time, you're going to become familiar with your COA values, just like you are with the FAU today. Okay. So let's talk about progress to date. So the left side of this slide shows our major activities for the segments. So we create segment values, we define segment values, and then map them to map the FAU to the COA. So the segment value creation is essentially done. Okay, so each segment has a set of values within it. So for example, the fund is a segment, and each specific gift, for example, will have its own fund value. Some of these segment values were developed centrally, like fund segment, and then others were developed by your units, like the activity segment. And again, I want to just reiterate here, essentially the segment value creation is done. We do expect there to be adjustments and tweaks, from now until go live. And for some units that may be more significant than others. The segment definition. So we've defined segments. So each segment within our chart of accounts has a specific definition with one singular purpose. So for example, our funds are defined as pots of money with their associated spending restrictions and their designations. And so, if you're wondering, are these really final? The answer is yes. Segment definitions are not expected to change, and they are expected to be final. So the FAU, the FAU to COA mapping is the right side of this slide. So the focus areas with the green dots really show where we're doing well. So Campus has helped us identify mapping experts and create financial unit values. This is essentially done. Then there are the focus areas with the yellow dots, progress status. And this is where we really need to make significant progress so that we don't add risk to the overall project. We do need to do better with completing the mapping of the financial units and the defining and mapping of the optional segment values. So I'm sure many of you have heard about the 2 million FAUs that we need to map to the new COA. There are many organizations that are in great shape and are done or almost done with mapping. But there's really no sugarcoating it. We are not where we need to be with our mapping progress. So we understand there are actually legitimate reasons for why we might be behind here. We know campus resources, are constrained due to competing priorities. We know many of you had to spend a lot of time on the budgeting effort. We also know that the mapping tool is limited. It is definitely better than the Excel files that were emailed back and forth during Assign 1.0, but it's far from perfect. We had to build a tool in a very short period of time, and it was not intended for long-term use. So yes, functionality is limited. Another factor that is causing slower progress is hesitation by campus, who is not familiar. They're naturally not familiar with the chart of accounts. And they're hesitant on creating new values because they need more guidance from the project team. So for example, how to define the program field for common values across campus. And I'll talk a little bit more about this. And that's completely natural too. And we're hoping to continue to make progress on that. And then lastly, really, and you hear this with every single major project UCLA takes on, we are a large institution, very decentralized, but not only that, but within our large institution, we also have very large decentralized units. And that just causes us to have to spend a lot more time on change management and moving ahead on progress. So our chart of accounts team is working every day with your mapping experts to help get the remaining FAUs mapped as soon as possible. If you're behind, I would say if your organization is behind on mapping, I strongly encourage you to make it a priority. I know it's a significant effort, and I want to thank you for your partnership. Lastly, I want to remind you that even when the full mapping is done, and I know this is a question that's come up often, even when the full mapping is complete, we will continue to refine the mapping for many months to come. We're going to analyze the use of various segments of these chart of accounts and provide additional guidance on how to standardize and optimize their use within the chart of accounts. Okay. So let's talk about where we're going next. The right side of this slide here, it's really addressing sprint testing and standardization and simplification. So shouldn't be new to a lot of you out there, the sprint testing topics. Our project team, we've been using the mapping that's been complete to prepare for sprint testing. So we're going to have select campus subject matter experts who are going to see a subset of the map data during post-sprint demos, and I believe this is going to start after sprint 2. Our project team is going to also share the sample reports coming out of this testing with various groups. So all 3 of our advisory committees, as well as the reporting work groups that we've convened. So this is going to be campus's first opportunity to review the data during these sprints, but there will also be additional opportunities to review data during conversion and systems integration testing, which will follow the sprints. And then the last on what's next, standardization and simplification. The project team is going to review and analyze all the submitted values and the mapping data that campus is submitting. And we'll look for opportunities to standardize. So for example, if departments are requesting different values for the same purpose, we're going to work together with those departments to see if we can propose a single value to track the information. So we're targeting to complete that standardization simplification by the end of this calendar year. And then just lastly, I know that the last few weeks, next slide, please. I know that the last few weeks we've really been nudging and pushing the financial leaders and mapping experts pretty hard. We are making decent progress on the chart of accounts mapping every day, and I hope we can finish strong. I know the mapping experts they're working hard, and this effort would not have been possible without their commitment. So I just want to take this time to give a quick shout out to all those campus mapping experts. Your dedication and contributions have been and are going to continue to be critical to our program success. So thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Cameron to provide the technical update.
All right, thank you, Selena. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Kirzad, and I am the Interim Director of Application Services and an Ascent 2.0 program owner. I will be talking through the technical update today for the two major technical work streams, boundary systems retrofit and integrations. To begin, let's take a moment to clarify what we mean by boundary systems and integrations. A boundary system is defined as any system used by a department in UCLA that will exchange financial information with core financial systems and/or financial information hub. A boundary system, and some examples of those boundary systems you may be familiar are UCPath, BAR, our billing and accounts receivable systems, JMS, our job management systems, and Epic. And on the right-hand side of the screen, an integration is a way of exchanging information between any core financial system and boundary system. These may be automated or manual processes. Integrations align to a number of Oracle modules, including fixed assets, grants, procure to pay, and more. Next slides, please. Next, let's take a deep look at how we will be retrofitting boundary systems and why retrofit is critical to program success. Boundary system owners complete several activities to successfully retrofit their systems to Oracle. They will enhance their systems to be compliant with the new chart of account, integrate their systems with Oracle to consume, transmit data, and train end users to apply new ways of working with the new chart of account and new Oracle financial system. I would like to reiterate once again that retrofitting boundary system is critical to program success. Risks of not retrofitting are listed on the right-hand side of the screen. And that is the data inconsistency, limited functionality, increased costs, security risks, and poor user adoption. I would like to call attention to the timeline at the bottom of the screen. So far, the team has engaged system owners, completed system analysis, and conducted remediation workshops. For the next 9 months or so, we will be remediating, designing, building, and testing our retrofit processes. Next slides, please. I would like to highlight a few accomplishments the team has made thus far relating to retrofit. So far, the team has met with each boundary system department and prioritized each system based upon sprint, tier, and effort required for retrofit. We have also established a cadence for our retrofit sessions that engage every relevant work stream. In the coming months, we will conduct business process review workshops, integration workshops, and reporting workshops. System owners will complete a design specification document, as we refer to it as a DSD, and a project plan in order to confirm retrofit specification and establish retrofit milestone dates. For the final of the technical update, I will share some details about the integration work the team has completed so far. In total, there are 174 integrations that need to be completed by February of 2023. We have completed 22 of those 174 so far. These 174 integrations are categorized by Oracle module or functional area listed on the right-hand side of the screen. One example of an integration is a journal import integration. In order to integrate the Micros platform with Oracle Cloud Financials, data is extracted from Micros and transformed into a format that Oracle can understand. Then a journal entry is created and uploaded to the GL. This is an example of a process the program team designs and builds out to make sure that Micros and Oracle can talk to each other in the future state. And this concludes our technical update. And at this point, I would like to pass it over to Marcia Smith, to our other program owner. I believe we have, Marcia, are you on mute?
Good, because now I can start again.
Thank you.
Thanks for everybody who's coming from the research community. It's really important that we have your points of view and your engagement in understanding how we're putting together the system that's going to support research grants and contracts. So I want to invite those who have questions, issues, want to participate in some way to contact me if you can't think of who else to contact anytime. And then these are the following places are where we are currently providing support, and we hope you can take part in these too. So we have our monthly Research Administrative Forum, and since January, we've had an Ascend component at every one of those meetings. So you can raise questions there among your colleagues or in writing thereafter and get the results of the minutes that, the slides that are posted. So keep coming to RAF. The program itself, the Ascend project itself, involves lots of committees that have been set up. I should say lots, enough committees. And there's a research reporting subcommittee, which we have invited people to participate in. We'd like to have more. There's a research advisory committee that works alongside of the main committee. I'm sorry, subcommittee is for reporting. There are special needs for research reporting, and I want to make sure that we have those needs in mind. So we did form a subcommittee to address that perfectly. And then there are change leader networks. We've appointed people to change management who are responsible for communicating out some of the information about Ascend, and also gathering questions and information that can come back to us in order to address them. There's a monthly Ascend newsletter, which I hope we will have a set aside space for research in all of those newsletters going forward. And there's the Ascend 2.0 website. Please participate. If you have questions or are volunteering to do something to support the project, please contact us. And now Yoon is going to present information about the grants module.
Thank you, Marcia. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yun Lee, Senior Director of EFM and a Program Owner of the Ascent 2.0. Now, we will look at the Project Portfolio Management Subledger, which will refer as a PPM throughout this presentation. And then we will review how PPM relates to the General Ledger. In the current state, the general ledger includes all the detailed financial transactions for the non-payroll expenses. But in the future state, most transactions will begin in the subledgers, which will contain subledger specific information, and then they will be recorded to the general ledger at a summary level, following what we call the subledger accounting rules. In this way, the GL, general ledger, will remain general at a higher level, and the more detailed information can be found in the subledger like PPM. With this structure, all contract and grant expenses will begin in the PPM subledger. Detailed transactions will be recorded in PPM using POETAF, which is a chart string that describes the PPM expenditure attributes. Then all these expenses in the PPM subledger will be recorded to the general ledger at a summary level, following the subledger accounting rules that I mentioned, and using the chart of accounts string in the general ledger. Next slide, please. And PPM subledger does more than just storing detailed contract and grant expenses. It brings the sponsored award demographic information from the proposal and award tracking system, which we call PATS for those who are familiar with. And the PPM will also include the expenses approval workflow in the subledger. PPM will be also the source of reporting and invoicing, obviously because of all the detailed contract and grant expenses are going to be in the PPM. So as we invoice the contract and grant expenses to the sponsor, PPM will also facilitate setting up accounts receivable for the billing amounts so that we can make sure that we follow up on the payments so that we can collect the payments from the sponsor. And the PPM will also provide the data, detailed level of the data for various custom reports that we will need to support the research community after go live. Next slide, please. So now let's take a look at the relationship between the current state full account unit, which we call FAU, and the new POETAF that will be used in the Oracle PPM in future. So as those who attended the previous town hall back in February may recall, POETAF stands for project number, organization, expenditure type, task, award, and the funding source. Many of these segments of the POETAF are mapped to one or more segments of the FAU in the current state. And this slide explains what segments in the FAU will determine the value in the POETAF. The Ascend program team will be able to derive most values for the POETAF from the current FAU values, except for the organization and the funding source, which are highlighted in peach color in this slide. For the organization, it will be mapped through the COA mapping effort that is currently going on, that Selena mentioned with the campus very actively. And then for the funding source, the project team will need the inputs from the campus departments, but then how we are going to collect this information will be shared a little bit later in the project timeline when we are ready. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates the relationship between the segments of the FAU and the segments of the POETAF, which was described in the just previous slide, but using a real-world example transaction here. So as you can see, the project numbers in the POETAF will be derived by more than one segment in the FAU. In fact, actually 3 different segments there: account, cost center, and the fund. But then there is also a segment that can have a nice one-to-one match, like expenditure type. Expenditure type value will be derived by the object code in the FAU. So I'm hoping that this example can help to visualize the relationship between POETAF and then FAU a little bit better. Next slide, please. Next, in this slide, using the same example from the previous slide, it illustrates the relationship now between POETAF segments in the PPM subledger and the COA segments, which are in the general ledger. So for the first top two tables are exactly same as the one that we just went over in the previous slide, showing the relationship between FAU and POETAF. But then right below there, it shows that how POETAF are mapped to the COA in the general ledger. So for contract and grant expenses, the Ascend program team will be able to drive all the values in the COA segments, which are highlighted in light blue from the POETAF values. Even for those that are highlighted in peach color, which are financial unit and the program segment, the project team will be still able to drive these values as well, leveraging the campus COA mapping effort that is currently going on as well. Next slide, please. This is the last slide for the research topics that is showing the activities that research team is and then will be working in the coming month. The team will be busy with upcoming sprints in the next couple of months. We call it sprint. Basically, what we do during each sprint are that we test the system configuration that we designed, and then we evaluate the business processes. And then as we find areas that we can improve, we will refine them as necessary as we go. And then we move on to the next sprint, and then we repeat the same cycle, same processes for the multiple sprints. We will also start doing the system demos, starting with the project team first, but we will also extend the invitations to the campus subject matter experts as well for the later round of sprints, so the campus will have a chance to take a look at the system and then provide us with the inputs in time for us to be able to incorporate them. Team will be also working on, working on finalizing expenditure types and expenditure categories to support FAU POETAF mapping for conversion. And then team will be also working on finalizing business process around how multiple campus agreements sub-awards are processed, and then also assessing possible solutions for the current use of a project and the source code in the FAU. Team will be also working to identify a tool that will better support the budget tracking. And the last but not least, the team will be collaborating with the clinical trial teams at the School of Medicine and the Health Center to understand their clinical trial building process, and then evaluate how it relates to and then impacts our implementation. So these are the research updates that I had today. And then I would like to thank you very much for your time and attention. Thanks for listening. And then I will pass it to Jennifer Ferry, who will speak about the campus engagement. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Yoon, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Ferry, and I work in IT services as a CIO for strategy planning and operations, and I'm also one of the program owners for Ascend 2.0. Today, I'll be walking you all through our overall campus engagement strategy to date. As you can see outlined on the slide, individuals from across the campus are highly engaged in key components of the Ascend program, and this is done through focused groups as well as committees. And the goal is to ensure that we're meeting the unique needs and requirements of our schools and units across the university. You can see here across the slide that campus collaboration is integral to our work. And the overall goal is just to ensure that all four corners of the campus are involved in this overall exercise and that we're building the solution collaboratively together throughout this phase of the Ascend program. There are 3 key groups that are involved in this exercise. The first one are advisory committees. The second one are Change Leader Network. And lastly, as you heard before, the great work that's being done right now through our mapping experts. Relative to our advisory committees, you'll see here that there are 4 key committees that are involved. We have one that's focused on change management, a second around finance, a third relative to research, and the final that's involved in technology enablement. Each of these committees provide guidance as well as campus perspective and feedback to ensure that that's used to inform the overall Ascend solution. If you are interested in the individuals that are involved in each of these committees, I invite you to visit our website and you'll see the names as well as units that represent the schools and campus units across campus. We also have a group of campus representatives known as our change leaders. Many of you are involved in that, and I thank you for your time. You meet monthly and serve as our eyes and ears across the program by staying actively involved as it relates to all the activities underway within Ascend 2.0 and sharing those with individuals across your schools and units. You also heard earlier, as mentioned before, about the great work that our mapping experts are doing in mapping FAU values to the new chart of accounts and providing ongoing support throughout the program lifecycle on an as-needed basis. So on our next slide, you'll see that another key component to Ascend is the reporting, as that will be critical to ensuring that we deliver the overall solution correctly. And with that said, we have to make sure that we get the reporting right and ensure that campus perspective is used to inform the various aspects of that overall solution. There are 2 key work groups that are involved: campus reporting as well as research reporting. And each of these work groups meet on a weekly basis and will do so through June of 2023 to assist with prioritizing reports for the go live and beyond that meet the needs of campus. And in this case, again, research as well as the overall campus work groups that are involved with the academic and administrative units. So you'll see here that there are many activities that are available for you to stay involved in the overall program. The first one, you'll see the ones that are already available. Again, I invite you to visit our Ascend 2.0 website. We also have a monthly newsletter that goes out, and hopefully all of you are receiving this. If not, I encourage you to send a note to the email address that you see there, ascend2@ucla.edu, to subscribe. We also have a YouTube channel that's available with informational interviews. So those that were shared during our various meetings, engagement opportunities, as well as this town hall, including the one that Janelle had today. You'll find those on our YouTube channel. And then finally, we have our quarterly town halls, of which you're participating in right now. Upcoming, you'll see that there's a number of activities. We have user acceptance testing, end user training, office hours, as well as we'll have open labs. And those are all in support of ensuring that our end users are fully equipped with the solution and can do their roles upon the go live that we have planned throughout R1 and R2. And then ultimately, we'll also have virtual conferences. Many of you are aware that we have a BruinBuy Plus virtual roadshow that is coming up. This is an opportunity for BruinBuy users across UCLA to hear from procurement leadership. You'll also receive a deeper demo of the system. You'll also learn different ways that you can engage with the program team to share your feedback. And then overall, we'll offer a Q&A for all those that participate. This is going to be on May 19th, which is Friday, from 1 to 2 p.m. we will be dropping, if we haven't already, the link to join this webinar in our chat. So I encourage all of you to register today. And finally, we're always welcome to feedback. We are always looking to further improve the engagement that we have with campus. So thank you so much for attending our town hall today. We're going to be offering you a brief survey that I hope you all will take advantage of to share with us your feedback, questions, concerns, so that we can continuously hone our organizational change management strategy and how we're engaging all of you as part of this overall rollout. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and pass it over to Mark Demaio, who will now conduct a live Q&A session as we move forward. So thank you again.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you to all of our presenters. Really appreciate all the great insights and information that you shared about our program. I know that we've had a lot of questions that have been coming in throughout the presentation, and I appreciate my panel and moderators for answering those in real time. We have a couple that are here right in the open questions, so I'm going to go ahead and just ask those. And so in the current FAU system, we can tell at a glance which PI is responsible for that fund. Will there be any sort of PI specific identifier in the POETAF system? Yoon, I know you'd like to answer this question, so go ahead, please.
Sure, I'm happy to. So although the PI indication will not be available in the POETAF values themselves, each project will be associated with the owning PI, and the award will be also associated with the PI. So the users will be able to pull projects and or awards by PI as needed.
Thank you, Yoon. Appreciate it. Another question that came in, I think this one, Laura, you're probably best to answer, is Aaron said to Chris, yes, UC Path will have to be retrofitted. This is very important work stream on the project. To the extent possible, we're looking for additional enhancements above and beyond just retrofitting the chart of account. Which specific team is working on this so we know who to contact about that? Laura, I think you were typing. Would you care to answer that in real time?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we have a cross-functional team working on this UC Path integration, both across the technical and functional side. Steve Yagobian is our lead, though, for that work stream and can point you in the right direction, so I can put his email in the chat.
Great. Thanks, Laura. Kathy writes a question. Are we engaging key stakeholders on tertiary systems that rely on the boundary systems? I think I will go ahead and ask that. We have reached out to almost 200 different systems and systems owners to sort of lay out and identify all of the various different requirements that will be required for retrofitting. So we've gotten information out to those. We are focusing right now on prioritizing our larger core enterprise systems, the primary and secondary systems right now. But we will be publishing guidelines for the tertiary systems to retrofit as well. Another question that's come up is for Marissa. With the deadline of June 30th for onboarding current vendors into payment works, what does it mean for new vendors? If I find someone in July, for example, that I'd like to onboard as a vendor, will that be possible? And what would the timeline be for that? Janelle, you want to go ahead and answer that one, please?
I sure can. I know Dan also made a comment about that. So the effort of getting all of our vendors onboarded into PaymentWorks by 6/30 is that's the date that we wanted to get pretty much everybody to give the file over to Jagger, because where's the integration that they have to build with those vendors. And we definitely recognize new vendors will continue to be onboarded between that 6/30 cutoff and the go live. So as those vendors come in, they'll get onboarded into PaymentWorks, and we'll continue to work with them to ensure that they get added into the integration with Jagger. If you have any other questions about vendor management and vendor onboarding with PaymentWorks, please feel free to reach out to our vendor management team and we'll be able to assist you.
Thank you, Janelle.
Hey, can I add to that, Mark?
Please do. Thanks.
Yeah, so yeah, the purpose of and the other purpose of getting vendors onboarded prior to 6/30 is to mitigate the volume of vendors that we would have trying to get on board before we go live. So, we're just trying to stress getting as many vendors as we can through June 30th. However, we are aware that there will be other vendors that will come on board after.
Thank you, OT. We have no more open questions right now, but we had some questions that came in during the that we had asked for or pre this. So I'm gonna ask a few of these and we'll go there. But we do have a question that just did come in as I said that. How do we handle international vendors? Some might even not even speak English. Janelle,
So,
yeah,
we're working with PaymentWorks on that. They are coming out with a release in multiple languages. So we're working closely with that and monitoring that. Hopefully that'll come out very soon. You know, in the interim, if a vendor is trying to be on board and they don't speak English, please let us know, and then we'll work with them directly to get them onboarded.
Thanks, OT. Also, another question that was submitted in the new BruinBuy Plus system, will we be able to prepare POCRs for others in our department to submit?
In BruinBuy Plus, you will be able to submit change orders and you can prepare something for someone else. So the answer to that is yes.
Thank you. See also, will the new BruinBuy Plus system have any features around centralized procurement teams so that they can submit their orders for the central team to place them and associated financial approvals?
Do that first part again, Mark.
Will the new BruinBuy Plus system have any features around centralized procurement teams? Example given, an interface where requesters can submit their orders for a central team to place them.
Yes. So when the department places their order in BruinBuy Plus, it'll route to the area that needs to review that order, that transaction. So if it comes into procurement, the procurement team that's responsible for that transaction will review it. If it needs to go somewhere else like IRM or tax or legal, it'll route to those as well.
Very good. Thank you. Another question came in, Kathleen. How will we handle one-time payees who, for whatever reason, cannot or won't register in PaymentWorks? How will they get paid?
I think we have an effort going on right now where we are trying to ask all vendors, right? We hear that some vendors have a little bit of gripe with getting onboarded, and we have a new team who's helping onboard all of these vendors with regards to this project. So we're giving this team the effort to try and onboard them first. And if there are issues, to see if there are other payment possibilities within their ability, like P card or something of that nature. But I think that we need to first ensure we can try to get them onboarded.
And additionally, it also depends on what type of one-time payee it is. So the type of one-time payee is going to determine how that gets handled internally.
Okay. Another one that came through is we are having issues with vendors who are in progress with PaymentWorks but are having issues. We are going around in circles via email. Is there anyone on staff who can reach out to the vendor directly to help guide them through the rest of the PaymentWorks process? Examples are big vendors such as Smart and Final who are struggling to get ACH set up.
Yes, vendor management does have a team in place that is reaching out to those vendors directly to help get them onboarded. In the interim, I would say reach out to Michael Robinson, and he will assign someone on the team to reach out and work with that vendor. mrobinson@finance.ucla.edu. Please only email if it's that type of situation.
Okay. Question that came up is how will the FAU to COA mapping details be shared with Boundary Systems owners, and what is the timeline?
Yeah, so we're engaging all of the different boundary system owners and having sessions with them on how to go ahead and do the FAU to CAU mapping. So if anyone feels like they've been missed or need to be included, then you feel free to reach out to me. We'll make sure they get the help they need.
Thanks, Mark. Another question came in. Our department processes a lot of guest lecture and honorarium payments as one-time payments. Does this mean we will need to ask these guests to register as a vendor, or would we still process as a one-time payment? Janelle or Laura?
So we have in BruinBuy Plus, which after we go through testings, we're going to be able to start showing more to the community and to campus. We've built these form requests, and these form requests include one that's a direct pay form, which is more of a form that will allow for direct payments for individuals who are guest lecturers and honorarians. With regards to one-time payees, we functionality don't quite have the ability to go forward with one-time pay, so we're still internally discussing what this looks like, but we will have a means to be able to pay, like I said, guest lecturers and honorariums to the direct pay form.
Thank you, Janelle. Appreciate it. One more question. Does it make sense to create tutorials for each type of request so there's a reference guide? Happy to help create if these are needed. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, man.
We're going to remember that, Mike.
Yes, we are, sir. We absolutely will. Okay, we are just about at time. We really appreciate all the questions. We got one more. Time for one more, and then we're out of time. So for paying foreign subawards by wire transfers, there is a long web form that needs to be filled out. Most of the info is the same, so the current workaround is to have AP send you a clone of your first submission. For each subsequent invoice, you then call up that invoice. What's changed? How will this work going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we're still kind of configuring what that looks like in the future state. If you recall, with the R1 program right now, we are still in testing. So we are kind of working out some of these kinks. So once we get this finalized, we will communicate that to you and let you know through a lot of our training.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, everybody. I know we are just out of time right now. Any other questions that we've got? We will be taking all of these questions, going back through them. Any of them that we did not answer, we will be following up, and we will publish them in the FAQ section on the Ascend 2.0 website. Again, appreciate all of our presenters, our executive sponsors. Thank you so much for your continuing support. Really appreciate everybody coming. Don't forget about the survey that Jennifer talked about. And we will see you in the July timeframe. So really looking forward to that. And to everyone, wish you a great day, and thank you.